My name is Mary Jo Webster. This is the first in a series of video tutorials on how to get started using R and RStudio. These are designed for journalists. That's what I do for a living. However, they will help anyone who's working on data. All of the materials, including these videos, the scripts, the data files, and any tip sheets, other things you might need to do this, are located on my website, the Data Journalism Academy. The videos will also be hosted on YouTube, which is, you might have found them there, but the website is where you'll find all the materials you need. Okay, to get started, so the first thing you want to do is download R, which is a programming language. When you go to r-project.org, you will find a download R link right there at the top. And it will take you to a series of servers where you can find the R. Just find the one closest to you and follow the directions to download it. It is quite simple. You shouldn't have a problem. Once you're done with that, then go to rstudio.com, and on their webpage you'll see there's various options for RStudio, which is a GUI that allows you to work with R quite easily. You will be just fine with RStudio Desktop free version. Go ahead and download that. Once those two things are downloaded, then you should be able to find R in your R and RStudio in your computer, depending, and if you have Windows or Mac, obviously it'd be in a different place, but they are agnostic and they work the same way regardless of the platform. So I'm going to go to RStudio and open that. And you're going to see the version up here, and you'll see mine is a little out of date. I need to catch up a little. But this is the RStudio window. Oops, let me make it bigger again, but not too big. It allows you to interface with R in your directories and things. So it has, I'm going to go to new file and say open R script. And so you'll see now it kind of has four boxes. This is kind of the way I think about it in a nice, neat way. So in the tutorials, I'll be talking a little bit about some of these places. We're primarily going to be working in this script window up in the upper left. Right now I just have a blank script with nothing in it. Down at the bottom is the console, and there's some things you can do down there. Often you don't need to use this area, but you're going to see when we run things, you're going to see code displaying down here in the console. Two of the other big areas are up here in the upper right is the environment. And as we start installing, importing data and having a data frame, or loading variables, or assigning things to a variable or things, they're all going to be displayed in this environment box. So you'll see what you're working with here. And then down at the bottom is your will be your directories. And when we set up a project, it'll point to the directory where you have your specific files, your data files, your scripts, and everything for whatever it is you're working on. That'll all be displayed down here. Also plots, packages, help. Packages is going to tell you which packages we've installed and which ones are turned on. Plots would be sometimes when you create a ggplot, a visualization, it will display over here depending on what kind of script you're using. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then the help files can be super useful as well down here. So let's talk about a little bit about how R works. Base R has been around for a very long time, but most of the work you're going to do will be in using packages that have been created and built on top of R. So for example, there's a collection of packages called Tidyverse that is probably the most well used and loved set of tools. I can quickly oops, bring up Tidyverse. Oh, I did that wrong. Let's do it here. Tidyverse. This read R is actually part of Tidyverse. There we go. So it brings you a series of pages where you can see all the packages and things that Tidyverse does. Welcome to Tidyverse. The Tidyverse is a language for solving data science's challenges with R code. But then there's other packages that you may want to use, and I'm going to point you to my favorite ones. But generally what I find is that I stumble upon a new package probably at least once a month to solve some a problem I'm encountering or a different kind of data I need to bring in or something like that. So the first time you need to install packages, when you're first getting started, or if you get a new computer or anything like that, you need to install your packages, and you can do that in a script window like this. And if you remember, what I did is went to File, New File. I chose an R script, and I'm going to come back here and talk about some of these other options here in a minute. And we can run this either up here in the script, or we could also run it down in the console, but I'm going to put it in the script. So what you do is install .packages, and then you list the package you want to install. And in this case, install .packages, Tidyverse will install all of the packages that are in Tidyverse, and there are a bunch of them. So it will take a few minutes to load. But then if you're doing an individual package like janitor is one of my favorites, it works the same way. And this is something you only have to do one time. So let's talk about running your code. Because this is a script file, what you do is you highlight what you want to run, and you can either go to this run button and it will run whatever is installed or highlighted, or there's shortcuts you can do on a Windows machine. It would be have your cursor on that line and do Control Enter, or on a Mac it would be Command Enter, and you'll see there's stuff going on down here in the console showing you that it's installed these packages for me. Okay, let's talk. So you're going to want to do that for the packages. You'll see in the next exercise that there's certain packages that it's using. You'll want to make sure that those packages are installed. Once they are installed, you will see them over in this list. For example, let's go look for janitor. There it is in my list. But notice that this box is not checked. It's not turned on. When we get to our script, we're going to turn on the package using this code, library janitor, and this is something you'll run every time you run R. And now look, it is checked on. So it's you can think of that as it's turned on. It's ready to use in this particular script at this particular time. Okay, so this, like I said, this was a script file. When you run a script file, all of your output goes into the console down here, and your output is not saved or even completely displayed. Let's say you run a little query that's going to return 20 lines of code, of data. It will only show the first 10, so you're not going to see your full output. Scripts are really great for, let's say, a complicated import and cleanup process, but maybe not so much for an analysis process. The tools, the ones I like for analysis are either R Notebook or R Markdown. Notebook is a lot like Jupyter Notebook if you've ever done Python. It allows you to have your code and your results and even some text, like an HTML text, really, right, all in line with each other. And so this is some data that's stored in R. If we run this, you'll see now it's going to display the output, in this case a plot, right in line with our code. And if I save this, it's going to make an HTML file. Let's I'm just call this test. And now if I go out to my my directory out here, I should have a HTML file called test. Let's see, where did it go? There it is, HTML file. I'm going to say view in web browser, and there we go. Here's this page, and it's a HTML page that you could very easily then share with your colleagues, and it's displaying everything that was on that page here. So this is super useful for that. I also like our markdown files, and this one's going to make me create it right away. I'll call it markdown test, and I can put my name in here. And I can say the output format is HTML. You can see that there's other output formats as well. I have not dabbled in these, so I can't talk too much about them. There's also ways to make presentations, or a Shiny application is a more interactive kind of application. I have not gone down that rabbit hole yet either. But our markdown, one of the things you could do here is you can say, you can change this to echo equals false, which means display my results but don't display my code. So notice that it's got some sample text in here again. In this white area, these gray areas are code chunks. And that's the same thing with a notebook page, that the gray area is a code chunk. So we can insert a new code chunk saying insert R, and there's a new code chunk. I'm going to get rid of that for now. But so let's say we run this this little summary and this plot, and we tell it echo equals false. Now what we can do, I gotta save my page, I didn't call it markdown test. And then what you do is you knit the page. This is very high level stuff. I'm gonna have another tutorial that'll get to the details of it. And it creates the HTML page, but now look, we just have our results. That code is not showing up in here because I told it don't show the code. I find this is super useful if I'm sharing my results with reporters or editors in my newsroom. They don't want to see the code because they don't understand the code, but they want to see the results. So the notebook or markdown, they work a lot the same way, but the other thing you can do with markdown is you can run it actually from another script and tell it to knit a page that you have set up somewhere else, which is in the weeds a little bit, but it has a lot of great functionality. So there's the three things: a script file, a notebook file, and a markdown file. In these tutorials, we're primarily going to be working with the notebook files. I find they're a nice happy medium between scripts and markdowns, but we'll also have a tutorial on using markdowns pages as well, and some of the cool things you can do with that.